Hi, my name is Ben Kasper, and I'm an injury prevention specialist at Oishei Children's Hospital in the trauma department. And today we're going to be discussing the safe steps and strategies for preventing pediatric injuries. Some of the three main categories that we see through our trauma center here, which is the only pediatric level 1 trauma center serving the 8 counties of Western New York and beyond, is a lot of the injuries actually take place right within the household itself. Almost about 1/3 in or around the household. So we'll discuss some strategies in order to kind of combat and prevent those injuries from taking place. Other ones include on the roadways, whether it be pedestrians being struck or bicyclists, things along that line. And then finally, sports injuries, which everybody's out there. It's the summer months, and it's encouraged to go out there and enjoy, but do it in a safe manner. So to go ahead and go right into here with the household safety, and a lot of it is age dependent. So I guess we'll start with kind of the birthing stage, where safe sleep is a very important topic to discuss. It's an initiative in the Western New York area, throughout the country, throughout the world, because unintentional suffocation can happen, especially in that birth to 4-month range. And a couple of things to really help keep your child safe is you want to make sure that they're going to be on their backs. You want to make sure that they have a tight-fitting sheet, just so there isn't a potential hazard there. And you want to keep the area to be clutter-free. It's suggested as well to use traditionally like a firm mattress. Some of the mattresses you can actually flip for different stages of life. One, the newborn stage being firmer than the kind of toddler stage. And you also want to make sure that you're not co-sleeping. That unfortunately does happen, and you can roll over, or something can happen where it can be an asphyxial type of a suffocation issue that does take place. So it's okay to share your room, but you want to make sure that you're not sharing your bed. Next topic is fire safety. And this can apply a little bit to some of the older children as well. A preemptive measure is to make sure that you have like smoke alarms that are located on every floor and every sleeping area, everywhere where there's going to be a bedroom or potential for somebody to be sleeping. And a lot of times they come with CO detectors as well, just encompassed within the device, which is very nice. A lot of them nowadays have the lithium battery that has a 10-year shelf life, which is very nice. So they make that something that you can kind of just, you get it, you keep, you're cognizant of the date, and it'll keep you safe there. And you can always check it annually as well. One thing when it comes to fire safety is you want to make sure that you know 2 ways out of every location throughout your house, just in case one of them is barricaded by a potential hazard. And in case of fire, you want to make sure that you're leaving the house immediately. You don't want to worry about belongings, especially if you have a very cumbersome fire. You want to make sure that you're able to get out, and you can have almost fun with it when you just go and you do preparation. I know that we do fire drills in my household where it'll be like, all right, we know where our meeting spot is going to be, which is located away from our house, and things along that line. And but knowing the game plan, having a fire extinguisher, especially in the kitchens, because you're going to be cooking food, different things like that. And most importantly, the fire extinguisher is great, but you have to know how to use it. So make sure that you familiarize yourself with that. Another topic that does come up quite often is poison prevention, and any type of toxic materials that you may have within your household, any cleaning supplies, medications, other hazardous materials, including like sometimes, with the legalization of THC, we've seen accidental ingestions of like edible THC products and things like that. It's most important just to keep those things away. We're obviously, for any of these issues, we're open 24/7 to be able to accommodate those needs. And you want to make sure as well, for any questions regarding an accidental ingestion, to call the poison help number as well. As we continue on, falls are it's the leading mechanism of injury across all age groups. We have gravity to blame for that. But when it comes to especially the pediatric population, we want to keep in mind that, especially the young ones, we're talking a lot of times like the toddlers or even just before. and your infants. As soon as they're moving, you need to make sure that you're controlling all the things that they have access to. One of the big things is obtaining and having safety gates to keep them out of areas of either a household, like out of a kitchen area where there's a lot of hazards, or at the top and base of any stairways that you might encounter or have in your household. One thing as well is children don't necessarily understand the hazards associated with falls from windows and things like that. So you want to make sure you're keeping furniture away from any windows. Screens can keep the bugs out, but they're not going to keep your kids in. There are devices out there that are relatively inexpensive, just like window guards or locks, or window stops that make it so your window cannot open very high. But it's important to make it so you have no climbable structure that enters to a window where they could potentially do that, especially when you're at like the second floor or higher within a household. And you want to make sure that you're strapping your children appropriately into high chairs, into any like of their devices, just so they don't fall from any of those structures. As we continue on, water safety is a huge one, especially during the summer months, but year-round when you're talking about bathtub situations where you're going to be bathing your child. You want to make sure that you have eyes on your child at all times. And as soon as bath time is over, you want to make sure that you're draining the tub too, just because that can be a potential hazard if your child ends up going back into that bathroom and is able to climb into the tub itself. If you like to cool off with home pools and things like that as you're enjoying the summer months, it's always important to make sure that you have a fence that fully encases that area, and that it has self-closing doors or gates, and you want to make sure that children are in there and that you are able to supervise them at all times. One thing that people oftentimes do is they have a water watcher card. And it's important to actually have the physical card itself, so then somebody knows that, yes, I'm the one responsible for watching all of the children at this given point in time. Because let's be frank, people are going and they're distracted more now than ever before with the use of telephones. Just going ahead, you can get lost. You can lose track of time and things like that. And keep in mind that drowning is a silent thing. You're not able to hear the screams for help or anything like that with somebody that's submerged underwater. So just make sure that we're keeping an eye on our kids as they're enjoying cooling off in the summer months. If there's something where you have any firearms or anything like that in the house, you want to make sure that you keep them out of sight, out of reach from any children. And you want to store them so they're unloaded. It's best to keep an ammunition separate from the firearm itself. And you want to make sure that you use like child-resistant, like gun locks, trigger locks, things along that line to help prevent that from happening. And if they ever do encounter any firearm or anything like that within another household, that they immediately just go instruct them to get a parent and identify the issue at hand. As we shift gears a little bit to the roadway safety, child passenger safety is a big one there, because if you correctly use a car seat and the devices that are available, over 70% of fatalities can be prevented just by doing what you're supposed to be doing. Unfortunately, though, more than half of all car seats are installed incorrectly. We do have car seat technicians, over a dozen on staff throughout Kaleida and Oishei Children's, along with other organizations. So a couple of things to keep in mind as well. This is a New York State law that you have to be at least 2 years of age to be in a forward-facing position. But the best practice is to make it so that you are rear-facing until you supersede the height and weight limits of a rear-facing seat that you're in. It would be safest for all of us to actually be ride rear-facing, but I don't see us, because once you turn a kiddo forward-facing, they generally tend to not want to be rear-facing again. One thing is, wherever the belt path is for your child restraint device there, your car seat, you want to shift it just from the belt path, side to side, front and back, and you should have less than an inch of wiggle room. The pinch test, that refers to just going ahead, pinching the fabric on the strap. You shouldn't be able to physically pinch it and tent it. If you are able to do so, then that car seat harness is slightly too loose. Moving on to pedestrian safety. This is a really big one that we see coming through our doors at the trauma center. And a lot of it has to do with just being able to teach your kids to basically look left, look right, then look left again before crossing streets. It's always advised that you use crosswalks whenever possible, and really want to instill upon your children to, like, if a ball goes across the road, leave it. And generally you have to be about 10 years of age or so, depending on a couple of factors, to really be able to recognize the speed of a vehicle that's coming and to be able to judge it appropriately. So you really want to make sure that you're notifying your kids that, get a parent, get a guardian if there is a potential hazard. And you have to keep in mind as well that people are distracted. Mainly teens, when they're pedestrians, they'll just be crossing a road looking at their phone. But you have to keep in mind too, the drivers are also going to be distracted. So, you have two distracted people that are going in opposite directions or about to collide. That can obviously not end quite well for anybody involved. When it comes to that, you want to make sure that you're a good role model. The do as I say, not as I do doesn't necessarily work with children. So you want to make sure that you're exercising better judgment as well when you're crossing roadways and when you're going through any type of congested area. As we move on to sports, before playing any organized sports, you should have a physical done with your primary physician, and you should also be going and giving your full medical history to see if there are going to be any limitations. During the summer months, when you're going to be playing a lot of sports out in the heat, you want to make sure that you stay well hydrated. That's important to always have water on hand, take frequent breaks in order to kind of cool down and to rehydrate yourself. And it goes right in line too with making sure that you're stretching both before and after any type of physical activity to avoid any type of, or at least reduce the prevalence of any sprains, strains, tears, anything along that line. It'll greatly help that. And also a kind of a relatively new concept is to really just kind of take some time off of just drilling down for the overuse of one sport, because you're using the same muscles, you're putting strain on the same joints. If you're playing the same sport season after season after season all year round, it is nice to dabble into some other sports as well to help prevent some of these overuse injuries, because you're starting to see them at younger ages now because people are locking into one particular sport, playing it year round at younger ages. Just something to be cognizant of as your kids are kind of going through their sports activities. And another thing that's really gotten a lot of great attention is concussion awareness. And you can even see it at the NFL level. I think that's a prime example of where you have an independent person that's evaluating the neurologic status of a lot of these athletes that are out there. And that's one that I know that there's a lot of misconceptions regarding concussions. One of them is that you don't have to necessarily lose consciousness and pass out in order to have a concussion. And there's an increase in that early recognition when you're dealing with concussions. Some of the signs, symptoms can be pressure in the head, nausea, vomiting, not necessarily just acting appropriately, unable to really recall events, times of, or the score of a game, anything along that line, having memory problems, feeling anxious, nervous, emotional. And, when should you be evaluated for concussion? That's going to kind of fall any type of forceful blow, anything like that to the head, any type of mass jerking of your head, anything like that, or somebody that's even taking a while to potentially get up from, a fall or something like that should be evaluated. And you just want to make sure that you're observing these behaviors in particular as your kids are out there enjoying the nice weather and enjoying getting out there. That's all I have for this segment, and I appreciate you jumping on to HealthyU. We hope to see you next time. Thank you.